This video tutorial will demonstrate the assembly of Gridflex 5 and how its main features can help with fast and simple installation. Let's begin with one of the primary components, the rail assembly. The Gridflex rail system is based on three different rail components that fit together: a north and south rail that sit at opposite ends of a rail assembly, and a mid-rail that can be positioned between them. Multiple mid-rails can be attached to each other, allowing for as many module rows as are needed in an array. These rails connect with a 1/2-inch bolt through the slots on top. It is important to note that while the Gridflex 5 system only uses 1/2-inch bolts throughout, it uses two different washer sizes. For connecting the rails, be sure to use only 1-inch outside diameter washers. To eliminate the risk of stripping the bolt, all bolts should be started by hand, then tightened into place with an impact driver. The north and mid rails are stamped with a module width measurement assist. These are to help determine the point at which rails must overlap to accommodate the size of panels being used. For example, if the modules are 38 inches wide, then the overlapping rail will be placed with its end precisely at the 38-inch measurement mark stamped on the rail below it. Also, there are two scales at the end of the mid-rails, one used to produce an 8-inch row spacing, the other for an 11-inch row spacing. As the rail assemblies are placed down and bolted together, the roof pads will snap into the bottom, lifting and supporting them from the roof surface. Roof pads must sit beneath every north stanchion in the system, but only beneath the first front row of south stanchions. Consult the array layout documentation to find accurate placement. Rails at the east and west boundaries of the array can be brought in about 6 inches, so that the entire assembly will sit beneath the panels. Lay the ballast trays across the rails perpendicularly, and align the slots with the holes in the base rail. Secure it down with a bolt and a 0.75-inch outside diameter washer. Attach the north stanchions by inserting the front tab into the rail slot through the ballast tray, behind the bolt that was just attached. Swing the back of the stanchion down to the rail, meeting its attachment point to the bolt hole in the base rail. Secure it down with a bolt and a 0.75-inch outside diameter washer. To allow for micro adjustments later in the installation, it is good practice to leave these bolts loose at this stage. Remember to clip a roof pad beneath every north stanchion. The bolt should sit inside of the rear protrusion of the pad. Attach the south stanchions to the base rail at the appropriate attachment point, which is determined by the row spacing required for the system. It will fit over the rail body. Make sure that the stanchion is facing the correct direction and attach it with a bolt and a 0.75 outside diameter washer. Remember that only the front row of south stanchions will have a roof pad placed beneath them, with the attachment bolt seated directly into the front protrusion. A quick side note about roof pads. They can be stacked as high as 4 pads beneath the rail to achieve additional lift against the roof surface. Ballast blocks can be placed into the trays once all of the stanchions are attached. The base of the Gridflex 5 system has successfully been assembled. Next comes installation of the modules, followed by the wind guards. The anatomy of the south stanchion is important to understand. One stanchion can hold 2 modules, each side holding one module south edge. The saddle swings up and down, while the keeper swivels in a circular motion inside of it. At the top of the saddle is the attachment hex bolt, and on the end of the keeper is a bonding pin that will bite the return flange of the module. Swivel the keeper perpendicularly to the saddle and pull it towards the hex bolt. Swing the clamp up and place one end of the module into the clamp. The edge should be sitting on the bottom jaw of the clamp. Rotate the keeper toward the module and tighten the hex bolt. This will press the keeper and its bonding pin into the wall of the vertical return flange of the module. Do this for both clamps holding the module. In this position, with the module standing up on its edge, wire management can be done most easily and effectively. Secure the wiring before laying down the module. With the south edge of the module secured, the north edge can swing down to rest on the north stanchions. Just like the south stanchion, the north stanchion is designed to hold the edges of two modules, one on each side. It is designed with two spring-loaded wings on each side of a central aluminum support base. The base is a shared structure, meaning that two panels must land on it evenly when placed. The spring-loaded wings will be positioned against the outer edge of the panel frame. The hook will be positioned inside the return flange. Once both panels are laid down, the bolts can be tightened so that their edges are gripped between the hook and the wing of the stanchion. It may be the case that an adjustment in alignment is needed to make certain that both panels are supported by the central base of the north stanchions. This is why it is a good idea to leave the bolts that attach the stanchions to the rails a bit loose. Once adjustments are made, these bolts can be completely tightened with an impact driver. Wind deflectors can now be installed. Position them along the north edge of a module row against the north stanchions, aligning the attachment point with the open slot. The narrow side of the deflector will be on the bottom. Thread bolts through the slots and into the bolt hole. Be sure that you are also using a 0.75-inch outside diameter washer. Wind deflectors will overlap where modules meet. Both will be secured by a bolt and a 0.75-inch outside diameter washer. For perimeter modules, align the outside edge with the exposed edge of the module. Complete this process throughout the entire array, and you will successfully install the Gridflex 5 solar energy system.